Yes, get it closer, brothers. Yes, start now, yes.
Okay, Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So,
Yes.
is that, okay, good. Is the audio good?
Yes.
Okay. So, just to introduce myself, I was born in Mississippi. My parents immigrated from Bangladesh. My father came for graduate school, Allah yarhamu, and he did engineering and all of that. And what I'll mention to you, what I found growing up here very effective to me in summarizing some of the problems, just looking at it holistically. And so what they've done is, and you can find this on Google, okay, everything, I hope you fact check me and make sure it's true. But basically, Mexican immigrants, Pakistani immigrants, Eritrean, African, Sudanese immigrants, Romanian immigrants, Russian immigrants, when they come to the United States, and you can find research on this, this is all research-based information. When these immigrants come here, right, in general, the following happens generationally. The immigrants will come, and if they're from a Muslim country like Nigeria or South Africa or Indonesia or Egypt or Pakistan or Palestine or Syria, right, then they'll come, right, they come to America, they're Muslims, right, and they move here, and you can see this already. Even when I say this, you'll be like, okay, you can give examples of this. But basically what happens is the first generation they'll come, and then they'll have children, and typically there's a very, very obvious thing that happens. The first ones born here, generally speaking, they will lose the language. They'll lose the language or it'll be broken. They probably won't speak Arabic anymore, they're probably not gonna speak any of these things. Not all of them, but in general, they'll come here, they won't speak Russian anymore. The ones that are born here. So the immigrants come, the first one's born here, they lose language. The second generation, holistically speaking, they change their names. So instead of Mohammed, it'll be Mike. Instead of Aisha, it'll be Cindy. Instead of whatever, it'll be Christine. You can even see this with the Jews that came here. A lot of them, they change their names very, very quickly. And the Muslims, it's the same thing. I have friends from here that are born here. I've seen it, and I've seen their kids. I'm 41 years old, I was born in 1979. So I've seen a lot of my friends that I grew up with, they've married non-Muslims or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that per se. And then their kids, so they're born here, they don't speak Bangla, they don't speak Arabic, and then their kids will have like Western names. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's the next one after that. The next one after that, you'll see that they lose, generally speaking, their faith, if they haven't already. They'll say my grandfather was Muslim, and I've met so many people like this. They'll say my grandfather, yeah, he was from Indonesia. They're like, how do you have this Muslim name, or how do you know Assalamu alaikum, or whatever? They're like, my grandfather was Muslim. And so, this is kind of what's happening statistically speaking, mathematically, across a broad spectrum of people. If you had 1,000 Muslims that immigrated here, that's typically what happens, right? It slowly and slowly happens generationally. And so, growing up here, I mean, it's a long discussion. I just wanted to mention that this is happening because, from a medical perspective, the first thing that you got to do is bring awareness, right? COVID is out there, right? The first step one is be aware. Know what's happening, right? And know the mathematics behind it and the statistics and empirical data behind that. The next thing is, I don't have the answer for it, right? Everybody that I found that they said that they answer, they don't have the answer, okay? Right? It's kind of a moving thing. And I found people, like I consulted Abu Amr, like we met before after Dhuhr, I was like, what do you do with your kids, right? And so I'm always trying to get information. I get some information from Imam Majid. He's got a son that's a teenager. I get some information from Imam al-Jibali. His son, mashallah, recites Quran well. Like, what are they gonna do? It doesn't mean that they even have the answers. It's just a continuous changing thing. And for me personally, in my personal observation, this is my opinion, this is not now a statistical thing. This is just an opinion. What I found for me, and for most of the youth that I've worked with lots of youth. Like I led a camp before, had 200 Muslims. I've done Sunday schools, I've done this, I've done that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying I'm good at any of those things. But what I did find to be the most effective, it wasn't Quran memorization. It wasn't teaching them Nahu and Sarf from Lugha Arabiya. Okay? It wasn't any of the things. All those things are great. I've invested thousands of dollars trying to, I've spent a lot of my life trying to study Arabic. It's very, very important to me. So I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not saying Quran memorization is not important. It's very important. But what I found the most effective, some of these people, they're Nigerians or whatever, they don't speak Arabic. They don't have that much Quran memorized, maybe. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. What I found the most effective for me personally, right, was good friends. It's like the easiest thing. And if you see the friends are hanging out with people that they just like, they're the Muslim neighbors, but they don't pray and stuff like that, don't be surprised if they don't pray, right? If they're dating and stuff like that, I had Muslim friends all my life, but a lot of them, they were bad, and it had a bad influence on me. A lot of them, they were smoking, and they're doing this, and that. Their fathers would be sheikh or whatever. And so none of that helped. It has to be like when you're going to pick apples from Whole Foods or the grocery store, you gotta find the good one. Or when you go into sheep, if you're gonna go buy sheep, go get the good one, right? And so the best thing, and so I did it, like I was like, for Brother Omar here, I was like, I want my son to be friends with his son. MashaAllah, he's a nice kid, right? And I found that to be the most effective, because what happens is, they're not gonna listen to me, they're not gonna listen to the parents, but they will, if their friend says, hey, it's Dhuhr time, we gotta go pray, they might not listen to me or you, right? Or the sheikh or anybody. But if their friend starts praying, they'll do it. And that's like the most effective thing I found for me. It wasn't the Quran, it wasn't this and that. All those things are very, very important. But, and also there's a hadith, I'll just mention this and I'll close with this. This is مثل جليس الصالح والجليس السوء كمثل صاحب المسك وكيل الحداد لا يعدمك من صاحب المسك إما تشتري أو تجد ريحه وكيل الحداد يحرق بدنك أو ثوابك وتجد منه ريحا خبيثة. So the best thing, this is the translation of the hadith, this is Sahih Bukhari hadith, and so it's reported by Bukhari. The Prophet ﷺ said, the example of a good companion in comparison with the bad one is like that of the musk seller, like fragrance, perfume, and the blacksmith, like the person who works with metal. From the first, you would either buy musk or perfume or enjoy its good smell, while the bellows or the haddad, the blacksmith, would either burn your clothes or your body, and you would get a bad smell from him. Some of this is my translation. I didn't like the translation, but basically it's that simple. They even have sayings: birds of a feather flock together. That's the best thing. And I found it too. Like I was very concerned about Arabic, so I married an Arabic lady, right? And so I was like, if you want to be a doctor, have your kids hang out with doctors. If you want them to be good at chess, have them play with kids that have chess. It's really that simple. If you wanted to make a single decision, right? If you want to learn to speak Japanese, go hang out with Japanese people. It's not going to be anything more complex than that. Like, hey, we got to learn the rules of tajweed and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to be like the basics, in my personal observation. And Allah knows best. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك واشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك.
Are you from an organization or you're an individual?
No, I'm just a guy here. I'm just an engineer.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah. Jazakallah.